first. Whether you grew up with the new class, the next generation, or a version that's a little more old school, Degrassi was the junior high as real as your own. This month, the classic Canadian TV series is back as Degrassi Next Class. For the first time, it will stream internationally on Netflix, and it's reaching a major milestone, its 500th episode. Now, many of those episodes broke new ground on television, tackling issues like AIDS, suicide, and sexuality. And there's more to come as the show zeroes in on Generation Z. Right now, I'm joined by Degrassi Next Class stars Anna Golja and Soma Bhatia. They're here to tell us how the show has managed to stay relevant from their parents' generation to their own. Hello.
Hi. Hello.
So congratulations on the new season.
Thank you so much.
Now, Soma, you're a brand new addition to Degrassi.
Yeah.
You play a student activist named Goldi. What was it like to join a series that's been around longer than you have?
Yeah, a lot longer. I was a little nervous, obviously, at the beginning, but honestly, once I got on set and I was there, I think everyone's so used to having so many new characters join every year, having new characters leave when they graduate high school, so it was actually surprisingly so easy to get along with everybody.
And Anna, this is your third season on the show playing Zoe. What's different about this latest incarnation of Degrassi?
You know, it's still the same Degrassi that everyone knows and loves, but we are able to approach these hard-hitting storylines with a raw, fresh energy. So we've had a lot more leeway in terms of that, thanks to being on F2N, which is the Teen Block Family Channel, and Netflix internationally.
And you were both born and raised here in Toronto. Soma, did you grow up watching the show?
Yeah, I did. I started watching it when I was 12, and actually my mom watched it too when she was a teenager, so when I started watching it, we would both sit down on the couch after school and we'd start watching it, and I honestly loved this show because I knew that it was filmed in Toronto, so I felt like it was like something to take pride in. Like it was a show of my own, and it really related to what I was going through. Even though I was younger, it was something I grew up with.
And had your mom had the same feelings about the show? Did she have the same kind of emotional connection to it?
Yeah, she definitely did. She was a little nervous letting me watch it so young because it's a very teenage show, but watching it with her, it brought up a lot of hard topics to deal with, but it was better that way because this way we got the chance to talk about it together.
Yeah. Anna, what resonated with you about the series before you joined it? Had you been a fan or a watcher of the show before you became a cast member?
I got into the show a little bit later in my life. I was about 15 when I started watching, and that was just because I was so afraid of watching these hard issues being tackled. You know, when you're a kid, you just want to have fun, happy-go-lucky, and not want to think about the really serious subjects. But then when I hit that age, 15, 16, I was going through some stuff. And again, Degrassi was just a great learning tool. Looking to the show for advice in a way, and I think that's what's so extremely powerful about our show.
And it's interesting what you say about, I think a lot of times, adolescence can be wonderful, but often it's romanticized. So it's interesting that as a younger child, you actually kind of wanted to shy away from some of the realities.
Yeah, I didn't want to grow up, and I still don't.
Well, one way that the show was so groundbreaking and has been, different throughout its entire, life and different incarnations, is that there are real young people on the show. They aren't 25-year-olds pretending to be teenagers. Soma, you're still in high school. You're in your final year of high school now. Does the show ring true to your own experiences? Is it what you see around you?
Honestly, definitely. I remember watching it. I started watching it before I entered high school, and I'm like, oh yeah, like high school's gonna be that dramatic. I got there, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is quite accurate. And even when I sit down for like the table reads and we're reading scripts, I still get shocked at how accurate they hit some of these topics.
Is there anything in particular that you can think of that, like in this past season, for instance, where you think that actual thing happened in my school or that actual thing happened to somebody I know?
Yes, definitely what we covered with this season was a lot to do with technology, texting, and how when you're texting somebody, you don't know technically who you are talking to because it's not face-to-face. You don't know their intentions because you can't hear the sound of their voice. You can't see their expressions. So this is something that Degrassi really talked about, even like catfishing, because it's something that's just becoming almost an epidemic because it's so easy to do so.
Yeah. And Anna, your own character was at the center of a kind of a rip from the headlines plot line similar to the Steubenville case. She woke up after a night of partying to discover pictures of her half-naked self had been posted online. What did you hear from viewers after that episode, particularly other young women?
The outreach that I got after that episode aired was absolutely astounding. I had fans talking about their personal experiences and how the show really helped them get through and get past whatever they were going through. And they were just really opening up to me about all their experiences. And it really, it made me really grateful to be doing what I'm doing and to be on the show, that we are in this position of power and we're able to influence young viewers and really make an impact on somebody's life. And that's something that I don't think I will ever get another chance to do besides on Degrassi.
Well, yeah, it must be a very different kind of acting experience because it's not just the artistic part of acting, but you are in some ways acting as, I role models maybe isn't the right word, but I imagine you have a very different kind of relationship to your fans than a lot of other actors would.
Yeah, because I think a lot of our fans are the same age as us, so it makes it so much more relatable. When they're going through things, I'm going through it with them, and my character on the show is going through it too. So it's just all such a unity, and it makes it so much, like, I think that's why we have such a strong fan base, is because it's all just so real.
So relatable.
Yeah. Does that responsibility ever feel kind of daunting? Does it?
Yeah.
How so, Anna?
Especially with the sexual assault storyline, it was such a fine line because, there was the one side of it where you don't want to promote teens drinking and partying, but at the same time you don't ever want to make them feel like they deserved it. No means no. And that's something that we really focused on in the show. In season 13 and again this season. It's just a constant continuation.
Mm-hmm. One of the other issues that has come up, may come up, some of your character Goldi is Degrassi's first character to wear a headscarf.
Yeah.
And is the show wanting to address that in a straight-on way, or just have it exist as this is who she is?
Yeah, I really think they're going for the approach where it's like, you know what? She is just another person at the school, and we have to represent Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area's demographic. We have to show the different cultures, and it's not a center storyline in this season, but they just wanted to represent her as another girl at Degrassi.
And have you heard from young Muslim women who like seeing a young woman who represents someone on TV?
Yes, I have heard a lot of it, and I was actually so happy to hear about it because a lot of the time there isn't that kind of representation on TV, and so there was a lot of young girls saying, I'm so excited to see the character because my character is also very fashion forward, so they were excited to see different outfits, how I wear the scarf, and yeah, they were just like, they were ecstatic to have, as you said, a role model on screen.
Yeah. Anna, your character is going through something else very interesting. She is exploring her attraction to her friend Grace. So again, you have another sort of role model experience. So what goes through your mind as you explore Zoe's attraction to Grace in terms of how that's going to be seen by fans and the feedback you might get for that?
The thing about Zoe and this storyline, I think, is just you can't overthink it. I didn't overthink it. And what's important about the storyline is that you shouldn't be defined by one word. And that's something that you see Zoe really struggle with. You see the pressure from her friends, Tristan telling her that, she's gay. And he keeps using this word, and Zoe's, she feels like she's in a corner. And just because of the way she was raised and her history, she just feels the need to constantly be pushing back and retaliating and not really listening to her heart. So you really see her struggle with that this season, struggling with who she wants to be versus who she really is. And I think that's a constant teen struggle. Yeah. I mean, it's a life struggle. Yeah. You never really know who you are. You're constantly evolving.
It's interesting to me hearing you talk about sort of the devotion of your fans, because certainly when the show started, there was no other real young people on television, and I think about the generation that you two are in. You've grown up with the possibility of creating your own media, whether it's Instagram or YouTube or Vines or Tumblr. So is a show like Degrassi still significant for young people when they have so many opportunities to represent themselves?
Yeah, I definitely think it's important because, I mean, when you have your own platform, when it's Instagram, Twitter, any social media, it's your own. It's you can follow other people, but it's more personal, it's more for yourself, and it's more expressing yourself. This show is characters expressing themselves, so it's more watching other people's struggles, not necessarily your own. You can relate to them and you may not relate to them, but at the end of the day, it is a TV show. It's for entertainment as well as it is for people to look up to.
Yeah. Anna, what do you think is Degrassi's secret to staying relevant? You talked off the top about the show still feeling, very true and very important. So what's the secret?
I honestly have no idea. I think it's a combination of factors. It's, a credit to our incredible writers who, I hear all these stories. They go to cafes and just listen to teens talk about their issues, and they bring that to the table on the show. And then they just, I don't know. It's also has something to do with again us being teenagers and playing these parts. Again, a source of it's kind of like a learning tool.
And do you have the agency to say, I don't know, that somebody wouldn't sound like that, or does that happen?
Yeah, when we're at our table reads, at the end when we finish reading an episode, they ask, so do you think that this is something that a kid would go through? Or they ask just for our opinion, and we have a table discussion about what we like, what we don't like, or what we think is like gonna grow on the story.
Yeah, and that's something again that the show prides itself on, just constantly being in the know and getting our feedback and really using it to make the show relevant.
Thank you so much for talking with me today. It was great. It was really great to hear you.
Thank you.
Anna Golja and Soma Bhatia are two of the stars of Degrassi Next Class. It's airing in Canada now on the Family Channel, and it'll be available internationally on Netflix January 15th. Anna and Soma join me here in Studio Q.